Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Mike and the Mad Pod. Today we will be picking up right where I left off last week with some more picks. Hopefully I fare a little bit better this week. I feel like I said that every time I talk to you guys. I mean, another just 1-3 record for me with these picks and some of the strangest losses you've ever seen, some of the strangest plays, and we'll be breaking down some of those in a little bit. But before I get into that, I have to give a big shout out to last week's winner of my trivia question, the one, the only, Mr. Mike Astor. Mike, you're listening. Congratulations. Successfully picking Rich Gannon and Joe Flacco as the two quarterbacks to win the AFC since the year 2000, since Steve McNair did it with the Titans. So, Mike, little plug for you. Mike, congratulations. Recently got into some of the best vet schools in the nation. Got into Cornell, Penn, Tufts. And, yeah, so if you know Mike, shoot him a congratulations. That is awesome, buddy. And you got the biggest prize, winning this week's trivia question. So, I'm going to do this once a week, I think. I'll be dropping trivia questions throughout the week. I have one in mind, and I will get there once I break down these games because there's a theme going here. But let's get directly into this. Again, going back to last week, a 1-3 start for me in just some of the strangest games you've ever seen, right? The one I want to talk about that really got to me is the thing I told you was a surefire thing. And on this program, I have done that in the past where I've told you, hey, bet on this, bet the farm on this, it'll happen, like the Chiefs-Giants. That example comes to mind. But again, we stick with the Chiefs in that game, where I told you that the Chiefs, again, have a great roster, a little underwhelming the year they had, starting off so hot, beating the Pats. But I figured, they're playing the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans, to this day, I still don't know what they're really good at. And if someone could please tell me what they're really good at, I'd love to know, because I can't figure it out, right? And in this game, they didn't have DeMarco Murray, so they were relying solely on Derrick Henry to carry the load, which is something he has yet to do in his NFL career. And in this game, he played great, 150 yards total, I think. Maybe all rushing. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but he played brilliantly. And if you look at the game, I mean, the Chiefs had the game won at the half. Was it 21-3 or 23? They had the game won at the half. And obviously Travis Kelce went down, and that happened earlier in the game. But so many things, twists and turns, and the Titans won that game. And it's unbelievable to me. The one play that really is going to could be a trivia question I ask it like in 20 years, but Marcus Mariota throwing a touchdown pass to himself. I mean, one of the strangest, most oddball plays you've seen. I thought that was very interesting to me. I still, at this day, I don't know what the Titans do very well, which is why when I get to it, I'm not going to pick them to go on. But that was a sad one. The other game, right? Buffalo in Jacksonville. And this is a game I told you that, I actually did. I lost because I told you that Buffalo was going to win the game outright. But I did tell you that take them +8 tees with the under, and that's exactly what happened. In a game where Blake Bortles has proven really to be a very, very just horrible quarterback. I mean, in this game, it just validates anyone's predictions about him. I think the guy had more rushing yards than passing yards. And for a guy like Blake Bortles, a guy who's not known to be a runner, to have that is, I find, very shocking. It's a decent Buffalo defense. Again, they traded Marcel Darius, so it's not the juggernaut that they once were. But for Bortles, I mean, that's embarrassing. And they just won, again, that pick by Jalen Ramsey at the end, clinched it. But yeah, again, Buffalo had no chance in that game. Jacksonville moves on as well. But we stay in the AFC, where I'm going to give you my picks right here. I'm going to go, and this is pretty obvious. This is not rocket science, right? I'm going to go with the two obvious teams. I'm going to stick with my bracket. And the Pittsburgh is going to win. And the Pats are going to win, starting with Pittsburgh. Now, they have a lot to prove, actually, because they lost to Jacksonville earlier this year, especially Big Ben threw 5 interceptions against that Jacksonville defense. But I can't see Blake Bortles, if he is not able to be a competent quarterback in the postseason, right? I can't see him going any further than the first round, right? And that performance he had was one of the worst statistically as a starting quarterback in the postseason. Trust me, I know, watching all my years of watching Tony Romo blow games for the Cowboys, but I can't see him going into Pittsburgh into a cold, icy environment when they're used to warm weather down there, although it might have snowed last week down there. But I can't see him leading a charge against that Pittsburgh team for all the reasons I told you last week. I love that offense, Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, if he's healthy. And they also have guys like the rookie Juju Smith-Schuster. I would say Martavis Bryant, but I can't stand Martavis Bryant, so I think Schuster's the better bet there. I just think Pittsburgh's got a lot of ways to win. I think they have a defense that's pretty competent, and I think they have weapons offensively that can match that defense very well. And that's going to be a fun game to watch because you have an offensive firepower against arguably the best defense in the NFL. So that'll be a fun one in Pittsburgh tomorrow afternoon. I can't remember what time the game actually will be, the 4 p.m. game, I think. The next one we go to Foxborough, and again, this is not rocket science. I'm going to go ahead and rehash my entire argument here. What does Tennessee do very well? I don't know. Marcus Mariota can throw touchdown passes to himself, but that's about it. I don't know what they do very well. I can't see it. I don't know the status of DeMarco Murray for this game. It's probably out. I did not look it up, and that's poor planning on my part. But I just don't know what they do very well that's going to somehow beat this New England team. The Patriots, and if you look at just statistically speaking, the Patriots have been to the NFC Championship game AFC Championship game every single year. So this is 2011, I think. 2012. 2011, were they... 2011, obviously, they went to the Super Bowl that year. But that is just unbelievable to me. I mean, Patriot fans, you are lucky. Be proud of the fact you have a team that goes to the playoffs every year. Because coming from the other teams in the league, they don't have that. Right, so I think we're going to see an AFC Championship game that's going to be great for the NFL. The ratings in that game is going to be big. The Steelers and the Pats, and those two games are really easy for me to pick in the AFC. Steelers, Pats, easily. I don't see either team having any chance. Jacksonville, Tennessee, they should be very proud of what they've done this year, but I cannot see either of them, going into a hostile environment and winning. Now, those are the easy part. This is where the fun happens, right? The NFC, where the picture's a little harder to put in focus here. The one game that I'm going to go to and talk about is going to be the Eagles. And a couple weeks ago, I gave that Eagle pep talk about they still can make a run. But folks, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to have to change my tune there. I really don't see the Eagles going far. I think this is it for them. I was shocked Atlanta won, which is the third game I got wrong. Atlanta winning. I just think Atlanta, as of right now, have a better roster. Defensively, they're not as good as the Eagles. But I just don't trust Nick Foles in the games I saw in the last 2 weeks. I do not think he has shown great chemistry with his receivers. And if you look at his Alshon Jeffrey's stats in his last 2 games of the regular season, I think he had 2 catches. And he got shut out in second to last game of the year. But I just don't think he has that chemistry. He does throw to Ertz a lot, but I think any defensive coordinator worth a damn is going to snuff that out. Right, I don't think he has great chemistry. I think the Falcons still have a lot of weapons offensively that are tremendous. They have not played great offensive football in the last month. I think they've scored above 20 points twice since November. I just don't. And with a roster like that, I don't like to look at the stats. I mean, this comes back to my Joe Girardi argument about sabermetrics. I don't look at the past. I look at who's on this team right now. I look at Matt Ryan, the reigning MVP, who has something to prove. He's a guy who blew the Super Bowl last year, 28-3. He's been hear that all year. I mean, you're telling me this guy's not going to come hungry? Julio Jones and the tandem of Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, that is a great offense, and it's going to put Philly to the test, and we'll see what happens. I also really want to stress this, again, coming from a Cowboy fan who's had this happen to me at least 4 times in my lifetime. I am a big believer that the first-round bye is a gift and a curse for a lot of teams in the postseason. Because, yes, you are rested, but that road team coming in with a lot of momentum and a lot of firepower. And if you look at the Cowboys, I mean, the last 4 times I think they've been big contenders. They've had byes, right? Green Bay comes into Dallas, wins 2014, right? Well, even go back to 2007 with the Giants, the number 1 seed at 13-3. That Giant team came in at, I believe, 9-7 or 8-8. I can't remember, and they beat them. I think it's a little overrated to be the number 1 seed and getting the bye. I think it's great because it does give you rest, and there are players on that team that could use the rest. But don't count the Falcons out in this one. I know I'm changing my tune from last week, but I really do believe the Falcons are going to come in and win. I think Matt Ryan's got a lot to prove, and he's going to want the opportunities and a basket in it. Then the last game, which is, I think, honestly, the hardest of the 4 to pick. So I'm going to go on record once again to say the Pats, the Steelers, and the Falcons are going to move on. And this game is tough. And I did tell you that the Saints I actually did pick that, the Saints are going to the Super Bowl. They're going to win the Super Bowl. I do believe that, but this to me is the most interesting game because I think it's the most evenly matched group. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate from my Philly fan base because I'm giving them so much slack, but the fact that Nick Foles is the quarterback, I can't see them being competitive in that game unless they really rely on their running attack and they force some turnovers. I don't see Nick Foles being the quarterback who leads a big-time drive, especially the way he played the last 2 weeks in his chemistry with the receivers. But anyway, on to the Vikings, right? Vikings-Saints, which is honestly a fantastic game, and a rematch of 2010 season, right? That was the NFC Championship game that year, right? Again, You have Minnesota, again, a quarterback who's got a lot to prove in Case Keenum. You have a defense there, a tremendous defense, a great secondary, a very similar team, honestly, to Jacksonville. They're a little bit better because Case Keenum has played a lot better than Blake Bortles. But when you think about it, what they do very well, they're great defensively, right? They have a good running attack in that duo of Jerick McKinnon and Latavius Murray, who did a great job of replacing Dalvin Cook. But again, in a game like that, when you have a great offense in the Saints and a great defense in the Vikings, I have to look at who my quarterback is, right? I have Drew Brees and I have Case Keenum. I have a guy who's won 10-plus postseason games, and I have a guy who's making his first postseason start, a guy who was a third-string quarterback at one time. And I got to give Case Keenum a lot of credit. I'm not a believer in him by any stretch of the imagination, but he's done a great job. I just think this is where the stretch ends. But this is actually where the trivia question comes into play right here, and I want to thank my good friend Luke Timber for providing this question of the week. And if you have a question, please feel free to submit it. Shoot me a text, send me LinkedIn or something like that. Maybe not LinkedIn because I haven't checked that in about 2 years. But anyway, this question very similar on that theme. So Case Keenum is making his first start in the postseason against a guy who has 10-plus postseason starts. When was the last time in the NFL that a quarterback has made his first postseason start and beat a quarterback that has made 10-plus starts? Right. So once again, a quarterback, not necessarily a rookie, who is making his first postseason start and wins that start against a quarterback who has 10-plus wins. Again, if you can answer that question correctly, I'll give you some kind of shout-out like I did with Mike. Once again, Mike, congrats on getting the question in vet school. And, yeah, guys, this should be – I really anticipate to be 3-1 this week. I'm going to be disappointed. I think the AFC is a lock. Though it's going to be the Pats and the Steelers. The NFC is where it gets more fun. I believe the Falcons are going to score a lot of points in this one. I know it's cold. I know the Philly defense has been great. I know the Falcons offense hasn't been great of late. But I look at that roster, I look at that personnel. They're going to come in hungry, come in hot, and they're going to take that one in Philly. And then it comes down to that Vikings-Saints game, which is scary for my Super Bowl pick. But so those are my picks, folks. Thanks so much once again to tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys next week, and hopefully my record can bump up to 500, and I can get off this losing streak that the Mad Pod has been in. But thanks again, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy football this week.